Imagine a world where beauty is both a blessing and a curse, where every gaze upon a person reveals more about the observer than the observed, and where the stories untold carry more weight than those whispered in the open. In the heart of New Orleans, there lived a woman whose extraordinary beauty captivated all who saw her, yet her life was hidden beneath layers of suffering, secrecy, and resilience. Her story is not just about admiration or desire. It is about the shadows that dwell within human nature, the moral contradictions of society, and the silent strength required to endure a world that denies one's freedom while worshipping one's form. The archetype of beauty and mystery embodied by the most beautiful slave in New Orleans history represents far more than physical attractiveness. It is a symbolic figure that resonates deeply within the human psyche, illustrating how appearances can captivate, mislead, and even manipulate perception. From the moment she entered the consciousness of those around her, she was not merely seen as a person, but as a living symbol, a projection of ideals, fears, desires, and collective fantasies. In the eyes of her observers, her beauty carried power, even though in reality she possessed little social or personal agency. This duality between external admiration and internal reality captures the essence of the archetype. It is a figure that fascinates and influences without conscious effort, drawing attention and reflection, while hiding an inner life that is complex, conflicted, and often painful. Her beauty, striking and almost otherworldly, became a lens through which society projected its values, insecurities, and unspoken longings. To see her was not only to see a human being, but to confront one's own unconscious projections, the desires and fears that were rarely acknowledged in daylight, the impulses that society condemned yet simultaneously indulged in the shadows. Her existence as a living archetype suggests that beauty, while admired, carries a psychological weight that transcends the superficial, exposing the observer to the paradox of fascination and danger, desire and moral compromise, admiration and envy. As an archetype, she was a mirror for human consciousness, reflecting both the light and dark aspects of the collective psyche. Her physical appearance was only the surface. The mystery beneath it was what gave her significance and power in the imagination of those around her. People who encountered her could not separate her physical attributes from the intangible aura of her presence, the subtleties of her demeanor, the unspoken intensity in her gaze, or the silent strength that pulsed beneath the veneer of servitude. In this way, she became a symbol of the human tendency to idealize what is unattainable and to project internal fantasies onto external forms. Her beauty did not exist in isolation. It was defined by the reactions it evoked, the desires it inspired, and the power it held over those who observed her. She was both idolized and feared, desired and restricted, admired and misunderstood. This paradox embodies the essence of the archetype. It is never one-dimensional but a dynamic, multifaceted symbol that evokes reflection, contemplation, and projection, revealing more about the observer than the observed. The mysterious aspects of her life, the hidden dimensions that were not immediately visible to those around her, amplified the power of her archetype. Her secrets, her resilience, the children she bore in silence, and the emotional burdens she carried transformed her from mere physical beauty into a figure shrouded in narrative tension and symbolic weight. Mystery is an essential component of archetypal figures because it engages the imagination, invites speculation, and elevates the figure beyond ordinary human experience. The mystery surrounding her existence was not accidental. It was a consequence of the social and cultural conditions of slavery, which forced her into silence, obscured her personal narrative, and rendered her inner life inaccessible to the majority of people who observed her. This concealment heightened her symbolic power, as what is hidden is always more psychologically potent than what is visible. The unknown elements of her life allowed observers to project onto her their own interpretations, hopes, fears, and judgments, making her a canvas for the collective unconscious to express itself. Her beauty, therefore, was inseparable from the aura of mystery that enveloped her, creating a potent archetype that continues to resonate because it is simultaneously real and symbolic, concrete and ineffable, human and larger than life. Her archetype also functions as a critique of societal perception and moral blindness. People admired her appearance, envied her presence, and desired her attention, yet most failed to recognize the complexity of her inner life, the hardships she endured, and the sacrifices she made. The archetype exposes how society often elevates the surface while ignoring the depth, the external while neglecting the internal, the visible while disregarding the invisible. Her life, as both a historical figure and an archetype, underscores the tension between appearance and reality, perception and truth. Observers were captivated by what they could see, her beauty, her elegance, her poise, yet the deeper truths of her existence remained inaccessible, leaving a distorted understanding that projected power onto her that she did not truly possess, and minimized the suffering and resilience that defined her internal experience. In this way, the archetype functions as a psychological mirror, reflecting the limitations of human perception, the allure of superficial qualities, and the dangers of idealization divorced from understanding. Furthermore, the archetype of beauty and mystery in her life engages with the themes of desire, projection, and moral ambiguity. Those who gazed upon her were compelled not only by aesthetic appreciation, but by unconscious impulses, the recognition of qualities they sought within themselves or envied in others. The fascination she elicited was complex, encompassing admiration, attraction, fear, and envy, revealing the intertwining of conscious and unconscious motives in human perception. She became a symbolic site where the unconscious and conscious mind intersected, where societal ideals collided with personal impulses, and where desire became entangled with ethical blindness. Her beauty was never merely an attribute. It was a catalyst for psychological processes that expose the vulnerabilities, projections, and moral contradictions of those who interacted with her. It is this profound interplay between external form and internal significance that makes her life a compelling study of archetypal influence and psychological resonance. Her archetype, therefore, represents the enduring tension between what is visible and what is hidden, between external allure and internal reality, between admiration and moral responsibility, and between the conscious and unconscious mind. She embodies the capacity of beauty to captivate and confuse, to reveal and conceal, to empower and oppress, making her life not merely a historical curiosity, but a timeless exploration of human psychology, symbolic projection, and the complex interplay between appearance and truth. The duality of power and helplessness in the life of the most beautiful slave in New Orleans history captures one of the most profound psychological tensions of her existence, reflecting both the contradictions imposed by the social order and the internal complexity of her own experience. She possessed a kind of power, though it was paradoxical, derived not from formal authority or social standing, but from her extraordinary beauty, her presence, and the way others responded to her. Her physical appearance, elegance, and charisma commanded attention and desire from those around her, and in this sense, she wielded influence over emotions, decisions, and perceptions. She could captivate, inspire longing, and even subtly manipulate through her appearance and demeanor. Yet this power was fragile, limited, and contingent on the gaze and perception of others. It was not an absolute or autonomous power, but one constantly constrained by the structures of slavery, social hierarchy, and the desires of those who controlled her environment. She became a living paradox, someone who could affect others profoundly, yet whose own life, freedom, and choices were controlled entirely by external forces beyond her control. This duality, the ability to influence yet the inability to determine one's own destiny, is central to understanding her psychological and historical significance. Her beauty, which was a source of fascination and influence, was simultaneously a source of vulnerability. Every admirer, every master, and every observer projected onto her their desires, ambitions, and judgments, creating a constant tension between being admired and being objectified. While she could inspire awe or compel attention, these effects were rarely accompanied by true autonomy or respect for her personhood. The power she held in the eyes of others was never a reflection of her own agency. It was granted by external perception and therefore could be withdrawn, redirected, or abused at any moment. This instability created a precarious existence where every interaction carried the potential for both recognition and exploitation, for fleeting control and enduring subjugation. Her life exemplified a delicate balance between influence and vulnerability, highlighting how perceived power can coexist with deep helplessness and how external admiration can mask internal suffering. This duality mirrors the broader human experience of being both shaped by and shaping the world, yet in her case, it was intensified by the extreme conditions of slavery and systemic oppression. The tension between her external power and internal helplessness also reveals the psychological complexity of her identity. On the surface, she might have appeared poised, confident, and commanding, able to navigate social spaces with grace and charm. Yet internally, she endured fear, uncertainty, and the constant threat of coercion. The ability to influence through beauty did not protect her from the social and physical realities imposed upon her. She remained subject to the whims of those in power, constrained by laws and customs designed to suppress autonomy, and forced to negotiate her existence within a framework that denied her fundamental rights. This duality shaped her personality, forcing her to cultivate a careful self-presentation, manage the projections of others, and internalize strategies of survival that balanced charm and discretion, compliance and subtle resistance. The psychological tension between external perception and internal reality became a defining feature of her life, illustrating the complexity of identity formation under conditions of oppression and highlighting how individuals navigate environments where perceived power exists alongside systemic helplessness. Her duality also serves as a lens through which to examine societal contradictions and moral blindness. Those who admired her beauty often failed to recognize her lack of autonomy, assuming that her influence indicated freedom, agency, or consent. This misperception underscores the broader failure of society to acknowledge the humanity of those enslaved, reducing them to symbols, objects of desire, or carriers of aesthetic pleasure, while ignoring their inner lives, struggles, and autonomy. The juxtaposition of her power and helplessness highlights the way social hierarchies, systemic oppression, and cultural ideals intersect to create situations in which individuals are both revered and dehumanized simultaneously. She becomes a figure through which the psychological and moral contradictions of her society are revealed, a mirror reflecting both admiration and exploitation, desire and control, fascination and subjugation. Furthermore, the duality of power and helplessness in her life reflects the interplay between conscious and unconscious processes in human perception. Observers were drawn to her beauty and presence without fully understanding the extent of her internal struggles, the sacrifices she made, or the limitations imposed upon her. Her external influence was recognized and responded to consciously, but the deeper truths of her experience were invisible, operating in the shadows of social perception. The unconscious recognition of her power filtered through desire, projection, and idealization, coexisted with the conscious ignorance of her true circumstances, creating a dynamic in which she could simultaneously hold influence and be constrained by forces beyond her control. This duality exemplifies how external appearances and internal realities can diverge dramatically, shaping social interactions, psychological projections, and moral assessments in ways that are both compelling and tragic. In her existence, power and helplessness were inseparable, forming a continuous tension that defined her experience and shaped the perceptions of those around her. She embodied the paradoxical condition of being admired for qualities that simultaneously exposed her to exploitation and limited her autonomy. Her life reveals how beauty, influence, and external recognition can coexist with vulnerability, subjugation, and internal struggle, creating a complex psychological and social dynamic. The duality she embodied is both historically specific and universally human, reflecting the ways in which perceived strength or value can mask underlying constraint, and how admiration or attention can coexist with lack of agency, resulting in a life marked by contradiction, tension, and profound psychological depth. The secrets buried beneath the surface in the life of the most beautiful slave in New Orleans history represent a profound psychological and historical dimension of her existence, revealing the hidden layers that shaped her identity, influenced her interactions, and determined the trajectory of her life. Her beauty, poise, and outward elegance captivated those around her, but these visible attributes concealed a complex and often harrowing internal world. Beneath the surface lay stories of hardship, resilience, grief, and silent endurance that were never visible to the casual observer, never spoken aloud, and often intentionally hidden for survival. The concealment of these secrets was not merely a consequence of personal choice, but a necessary strategy in a society structured around oppression, objectification, and the denial of her humanity. Every gesture, every measured word, and every careful display of composure was a performance shaped by the need to protect herself, maintain a fragile sense of dignity, and navigate a world where disclosure of her true experiences could invite further exploitation or punishment. These buried secrets, therefore, become a central element in understanding the psychological complexity of her life and the symbolic weight she carried as both a historical figure and an archetype. One of the most significant dimensions of her hidden life was the private reality of motherhood and the tragedies that accompanied it. She bore children under conditions of extreme vulnerability, and while outwardly her grace and beauty may have masked her suffering, internally she carried the profound weight of maternal responsibility, fear, and sorrow. These experiences were often concealed from public view, creating a separation between the appearance of elegance and the reality of anguish. The children she bore, the losses she endured, and the emotional labor required to maintain composure under such circumstances remained invisible to those who admired her physical form. This concealment exemplifies how her external image operated as a mask, a carefully curated surface that protected not only her physical safety, but also the deeper layers of her psychological and emotional life. The secrets of her maternity reveal that behind every outwardly visible trait, there existed an internal landscape shaped by suffering, resilience, and the need for strategic concealment. Beyond the realities of motherhood, her buried secrets also encompass the emotional and psychological consequences of living under constant surveillance, judgment, and objectification. Every glance from a master, every comment from an observer, and every interaction within the social hierarchy imposed pressures that shaped her inner world. She learned to navigate a complex system in which every expression of autonomy, resistance, or emotion could be interpreted, constrained, or punished. Her secrets included the silent strategies she developed to protect herself, the internal dialogue she maintained to reconcile her dignity with imposed subservience, and the private ways she processed fear, anger, and grief. These concealed experiences demonstrate the tension between external presentation and internal reality, highlighting the ways in which individuals living under systemic oppression develop adaptive psychological strategies to survive while maintaining a sense of self. Her internal life, hidden beneath her public persona, becomes a testament to human resilience and the complexity of identity formation under extreme social constraints. The concealment of her secrets also highlights the broader social dynamics of power, desire, and exploitation. Observers were captivated by her appearance and outward charm, yet they remained largely unaware of the personal sacrifices, emotional burdens, and internal struggles that defined her daily existence. This lack of awareness underscores the systemic nature of oppression. Society rewarded the appearance of compliance, charm, and beauty, while ignoring the psychological costs imposed on those who embodied these qualities. Her hidden experiences, therefore, serve as a critique of societal perception and moral blindness, revealing how surface-level admiration can obscure deeper truths and allow exploitation to persist unchallenged. The secrets she carried became a protective shield, a buffer between the external world's expectations and the realities of her lived experience, allowing her to maintain survival while the complexity of her inner life remained largely inaccessible. In addition to the personal and social dimensions, the secrets buried beneath the surface carry symbolic significance, representing the tension between visibility and invisibility, admiration and neglect, and perception and truth. Her life demonstrates that what is visible to the world, beauty, grace, elegance, is never the full measure of a person's existence. The hidden layers of her experience, the private grief, the silent endurance, the unspoken strategies of survival, illustrate that human identity is complex, multidimensional, and often obscured by external perceptions. These buried secrets also challenge observers to recognize the limitations of perception, to question assumptions based on appearances, and to appreciate the depth and richness of inner experience that cannot be reduced to surface impressions. Her life serves as a reminder that every individual carries hidden narratives, struggles, and dimensions that may never be immediately visible but are essential to understanding their full humanity. Moreover, the secrets beneath her surface reveal the enduring psychological impact of her circumstances. The tension between outward performance and inward reality, the necessity of concealment for survival, and the constant negotiation of selfhood under oppression contributed to the formation of a complex inner world. She developed emotional resilience, self-awareness, and a nuanced understanding of human behavior, all of which were hidden from those who only saw her beauty and charm. These secrets, preserved within her inner life, illustrate the intricate interplay between external circumstances and psychological development, showing how oppression, desire, and social dynamics shape the internal experience of those subjected to systemic power imbalances. The hidden truths of her life, therefore, are not merely historical curiosities, but windows into the deeper dimensions of human psychology, resilience, and survival. Her secrets also included the unspoken moral and ethical compromises she navigated. Living in a society where choices were constrained and autonomy denied, she was forced to make decisions that were complex and fraught with consequence. Each act of compliance, subtle resistance, or strategic self-preservation carried ethical weight and potential risk. Yet these decisions were largely invisible to those who judged her superficially. The concealment of these moral negotiations exemplifies how her internal world was layered with dilemmas, insights, and adaptive reasoning, all hidden beneath the outward appearance of beauty and grace. These buried ethical and psychological dimensions further underscore the profound complexity of her existence, revealing that survival under oppression requires not only physical endurance, but also strategic, moral, and emotional intelligence. The secrets she carried beneath the surface, therefore, constitute the core of her psychological, symbolic, and historical significance. They reveal the depth of her resilience, the complexity of her inner life, the constraints imposed by social structures, and the adaptive strategies she employed to navigate a world that reduced her to appearance and objectification. These hidden truths illuminate the interplay between external perception and internal reality, between societal expectation and personal experience, and between visible power and concealed suffering. Her secrets become both a testament to human endurance and a critique of the ways in which society overlooks, misinterprets, and exploits those it admires without understanding the totality of their lived experience. And they invite reflection on the intricate dynamics of beauty, power, identity, and survival in a world marked by oppression and desire. The shadow of human desire and exploitation in the life of the most beautiful slave in New Orleans history represents a complex interplay between societal projections, individual longing, and the systemic structures that enabled both admiration and abuse. Her beauty and presence became a canvas upon which others projected their fantasies, fears, ambitions, and moral compromises. To gaze upon her was not merely to observe a human being. It was to confront one's own unconscious impulses, the desires that society condemned, and the lusts and envies that individuals carried privately, yet acted upon publicly. She became the embodiment of the human shadow, the part of the psyche that is repressed, denied, or morally unacceptable, yet exerts influence over behavior and perception. The admiration and desire she elicited were inseparable from exploitation because the social and economic structures of slavery positioned her as simultaneously valuable, vulnerable, and controllable. She was desired for her beauty, admired for her elegance, and yet constrained, coerced, and subjected to a power system that rendered her autonomy non-existent, revealing the dark dimensions of human fascination and the moral contradictions of those who participated in or observed her life. Her presence illuminated the capacity for human projection, where individuals overlay their own internal needs, fantasies, and fears onto another person, often without acknowledging the reality of that person's inner life. Those who admired her beauty frequently failed to see her as a full human being, instead reducing her to a symbol of desire or status. This reduction exemplifies the psychological mechanism of projection, whereby unconscious content is attributed to external objects or people. In her case, the projections included lust, envy, ambition, and even moral rationalizations, creating a web in which she was admired, coveted, and simultaneously controlled. Her beauty became the locus of psychological tension for those around her, forcing observers to confront desires they may have denied, impulses they could not openly express, and the moral compromises they silently condoned. The shadow she revealed was not hers alone. It existed in the hearts of everyone who interacted with her, a reflection of collective human impulses and societal complicity in systems of exploitation. Exploitation in her life was both overt and subtle, shaped by the social hierarchies of slavery, the economic imperatives of plantation life, and the personal desires of those in power. Her beauty, while a source of fascination, also made her a target, creating circumstances in which her body, appearance, and presence were commodified and controlled. Every glance, word, or gesture from masters and observers carried the potential for coercion or manipulation, underscoring the entanglement of desire with systemic oppression. The admiration she received was never neutral. It was filtered through the lens of power, hierarchy, and social norms that denied her agency while amplifying the impact of her appearance. Her life becomes a case study in how external attributes, when situated within oppressive structures, can simultaneously inspire influence and enable exploitation, illustrating the complex moral and psychological dynamics at play in human desire. The shadow of exploitation also included the emotional labor she performed to navigate these pressures. She had to manage the perceptions, fantasies, and impulses of others while maintaining a sense of composure, dignity, and strategic survival. This labor was invisible, unacknowledged, and psychologically taxing, requiring constant vigilance, self-awareness, and restraint. She learned to negotiate social interactions, anticipate desires and expectations, and suppress personal responses that might provoke danger or disadvantage. The emotional and psychological toll of these hidden negotiations underscores how exploitation operates not only through overt control, but through subtler mechanisms of surveillance, anticipation, and manipulation. Her existence demonstrates that the experience of exploitation is deeply intertwined with the performance of self, the management of perception, and the navigation of socially and psychologically complex environments. Furthermore, the shadow her life revealed highlights the moral ambivalence of human desire. Those who desired her beauty were not necessarily evil in an absolute sense. They were participants in a system that encouraged projection, objectification, and manipulation. Her presence exposed the contradictions in their morality, showing how admiration and desire could coexist with rationalizations, justifications, and systemic inequality. She became a mirror for the unacknowledged aspects of human behavior, forcing a confrontation with the uncomfortable truth that desire, when unchecked or unexamined, can lead to oppression and harm. Her life illustrates the latent capacity for cruelty embedded within ordinary human impulses when filtered through social and economic systems that enable exploitation, revealing the ethical complexity of beauty, attraction, and power. Her shadow also encompasses the cultural and symbolic dimensions of exploitation. Beauty, in her case, was both celebrated and feared, desired and controlled, admired and commodified. Society's attention to her appearance masked the underlying violence and coercion she endured, creating a dissonance between outward fascination and inward suffering. This dissonance illuminates the ways in which cultural ideals can perpetuate harm, particularly when they are projected onto individuals who lack agency or voice. Her beauty became a focal point for collective fantasy, a site of both admiration and control, demonstrating that aesthetic qualities can carry profound ethical and psychological consequences when intertwined with power imbalances. The admiration she received was inseparable from exploitation, revealing how desire operates within social hierarchies, moral ambiguity, and systemic injustice. Finally, the shadow of human desire and exploitation in her life underscores the broader psychological truth that beauty, power, and admiration are never experienced in isolation. They exist within networks of perception, projection, and social dynamics that shape both the admired and the admirer. She embodies the tension between attraction and coercion, influence and vulnerability, admiration and moral compromise, showing that what is desired is often inextricably linked to what is denied, suppressed, or exploited. Her story illuminates the interplay between unconscious impulses and social structures, demonstrating that exploitation often arises not from individual malice alone, but from the alignment of desire, perception, and systemic inequality. The shadow she reveals is both personal and collective, individual and social, historical and psychological, offering insight into the dark currents that flow beneath the surface of admiration, desire, and human interaction. The psychological impact of oppression and trauma in the life of the most beautiful slave in New Orleans history represents a complex interplay between external forces, internal resilience, and the deep, often invisible consequences of sustained subjugation. Her life was marked by a constant tension between survival and selfhood, autonomy and coercion, dignity and the imposed limitations of slavery. While outward appearances may have suggested elegance, composure, and control, beneath the surface lay layers of psychological complexity shaped by fear, loss, repression, and the necessity of adaptation to a world that denied her freedom. Trauma, in her case, was not a singular event, but a continuous process, compounded by systemic exploitation, objectification, and the daily realities of existing in an environment where power, autonomy, and choice were restricted by external forces beyond her control. Every interaction, observation, and expectation became a potential source of stress, anxiety, and emotional strain, shaping her psyche in ways that would affect her behavior, perception, and coping strategies throughout her life. Her beauty, while a source of admiration and influence, also intensified the psychological pressures she experienced. Those around her projected desires, fantasies, and moral compromises onto her, creating an environment in which she was constantly evaluated, objectified, and manipulated. The tension between external perception and internal reality required her to develop a heightened sense of awareness, emotional intelligence, and strategic self-presentation. She had to anticipate the impulses and expectations of others, manage the consequences of attraction and envy, and suppress her own emotions when they might compromise safety or invite punishment. These adaptive strategies, while essential for survival, also carried a psychological cost, including chronic vigilance, emotional repression, and the internalization of fear and anxiety. The continual navigation of a socially and psychologically hazardous environment illustrates how trauma is not limited to physical harm, but extends deeply into emotional and cognitive domains, affecting perception, behavior, and identity formation. The internalized impact of oppression and trauma is evident in the ways she had to reconcile her inner life with external expectations. Her autonomy was constrained by the structures of slavery, which dictated not only her movements and labor, but also the social dynamics she could navigate and the personal relationships she could maintain. Each decision carried moral and practical weight, from subtle acts of resistance to moments of compliance, and the consequences of miscalculation could be severe. The constant negotiation of power dynamics required her to compartmentalize experiences, emotions, and knowledge, creating an internal landscape that was complex, multi-layered, and psychologically taxing. This compartmentalization, while protective, could also result in long-term consequences such as emotional detachment, hypervigilance, and internal conflict, illustrating the profound psychological toll of living under continuous oppression. Her experiences of trauma were also compounded by the social and emotional isolation inherent in her position. As a figure of beauty and fascination, she was both desired and scrutinized, admired and controlled, yet she could trust few people with the realities of her inner life. The inability to openly share pain, fear, or grief further intensified the psychological burden, requiring her to endure emotional suffering silently. This isolation amplified the impact of trauma, creating a psychological environment in which external admiration masked deep internal distress. The emotional labor required to navigate social dynamics while concealing inner turmoil is a critical aspect of understanding the psychological consequences of her circumstances. Her life exemplifies how trauma operates not only through overt acts of violence or oppression, but also through the subtle, pervasive pressures of social expectation, surveillance, and objectification. Moreover, the trauma she endured was not confined to personal experiences, but also encompassed intergenerational and relational dimensions. She bore children, navigated the complexities of family under the conditions of slavery, and experienced the psychological consequences of loss, separation, and grief associated with the forced control over familial bonds. The emotional weight of protecting children, enduring separations, and reconciling love with survival imposed additional psychological burdens. These experiences contributed to the formation of a nuanced, resilient psyche, but they also reinforced the pervasive impact of trauma, demonstrating that oppression affects not only individual well-being, but also relational and familial dynamics. Her life, therefore, illustrates how the psychological effects of trauma are multidimensional, extending across personal, relational, and social domains. The cumulative effect of oppression and trauma in her life also shaped her identity and self-perception. While she developed strategies of resilience, self-presentation, and emotional regulation, these were constantly negotiated against the backdrop of a system that denied full recognition of her humanity. The psychological consequences included the development of adaptive behaviors that ensured survival, but may have also limited the expression of authentic selfhood. The tension between adaptive compliance and the desire for autonomy created a continuous internal dialogue where every choice involved weighing risk, desire, and morality. These experiences illuminate the profound ways in which external systems of power and control penetrate the psyche, influencing cognition, emotion, and identity, and reveal the intricate interplay between external oppression and internal psychological development. Her story also underscores the broader significance of trauma as both individual and collective experience. The psychological impact of her life reflects the ways in which systemic oppression generates enduring consequences for those subjected to it, shaping not only behavior and cognition, but also the moral and emotional dimensions of experience. The trauma she endured was both a personal burden and a reflection of broader historical and social forces, linking individual psychology with collective history, social dynamics, and moral responsibility. Her resilience, coping strategies, and internal world become a testimony to human endurance and a lens through which to understand the profound psychological consequences of living under sustained oppression, revealing the hidden costs of survival, adaptation, and endurance in a society that dehumanized her at every turn. Her life illustrates that the psychological impact of oppression and trauma is neither simple nor linear. It manifests in emotional complexity, relational navigation, moral negotiation, cognitive vigilance, and the constant tension between external appearance and internal reality. Her experiences reveal that survival under systemic oppression requires not only physical endurance, but profound psychological adaptation, highlighting the intersection of beauty, vulnerability, resilience, and the enduring influence of trauma on identity and behavior. The enduring symbolism and legacy of the most beautiful slave in New Orleans history represent the profound and multifaceted impact of her life, extending far beyond the immediate circumstances of her existence to touch on universal themes of beauty, resilience, oppression, and human complexity. Her life, while historically situated within the brutal and dehumanizing context of slavery, resonates symbolically because it reflects not only the struggles of one individual, but also the broader patterns of human behavior, societal projection, and psychological conflict. Her beauty and presence were not merely physical attributes. They became symbols that encapsulated the contradictions of her world, the desires of those who observed her, and the suffering imposed by systemic injustice. The legacy she left is enduring because it operates on multiple levels, encompassing historical memory, psychological resonance, and symbolic significance, reminding those who study her story that human experience is rarely simple, and that appearances, power, and social perception are intertwined with deeper truths that often remain hidden beneath the surface. Her life functions as a symbol of resilience in the face of extreme adversity. Despite the constraints of slavery, the objectification she endured, and the personal tragedies she experienced, she navigated a world that denied her autonomy with grace, intelligence, and adaptability. This resilience is part of her enduring legacy because it illuminates the human capacity to maintain dignity and internal strength under conditions designed to strip away identity and self-worth. Her ability to survive, endure, and navigate complex social and psychological landscapes transforms her from a mere historical figure into an archetype of human endurance. The symbolic power of her resilience is amplified by the contrast between the admiration she inspired externally and the internal challenges she confronted privately, highlighting the tension between external perception and inner reality, and offering a model of psychological fortitude that continues to resonate across generations. Her story also serves as a mirror for society, reflecting the moral and ethical contradictions of those who interacted with or observed her. Those who admired her beauty, desired her presence, or benefited from her labor participated in a system that commodified her, revealing the darker aspects of human nature and social structures. Her enduring legacy lies in the way her life exposes the consequences of desire untempered by ethical reflection, the intersection of attraction and exploitation, and the moral blindness that enables injustice to persist. The symbolic dimension of her experience lies in its ability to force observers to confront uncomfortable truths about human behavior, social complicity, and the ethical responsibilities inherent in interactions shaped by power imbalances. She becomes not only a historical figure, but a moral and psychological touchstone, reminding humanity of the costs of dehumanization and the responsibilities of conscience in a world where beauty, power, and desire intersect. In addition to moral and psychological symbolism, her life carries historical significance that shapes her legacy. She represents a specific historical reality, the intersection of race, gender, and social hierarchy in antebellum New Orleans, while also embodying universal human experiences of oppression, resilience, and the negotiation of identity under coercive systems. Her story forces us to examine the ways in which social, economic, and political structures shape individual lives and experiences, illuminating the hidden narratives often erased or obscured in historical accounts. The enduring legacy of her life is found in the way her story bridges the personal and the collective, the immediate and the symbolic, offering insight into the lived realities of those subjected to systemic oppression, while also inviting reflection on broader human truths about desire, morality, and survival. Her symbolism extends into the psychological realm, revealing the complexity of human perception, projection, and internal experience. She became a canvas for the unconscious projections of those around her, embodying the desires, fears, and moral compromises of observers while simultaneously navigating her own internal world of fear, grief, resilience, and adaptation. This duality between external projection and internal reality contributes to her enduring significance, as it illustrates how symbolic meaning arises not only from individual characteristics, but also from the interaction between the individual and the collective psyche. She becomes a living representation of the tension between appearance and essence, desire and constraint, admiration and objectification, and her legacy continues to provoke reflection on the interplay between personal experience and societal perception. Her life also serves as a testament to the power of narrative and memory in shaping legacy. The details of her existence, her beauty, her struggles, the children she bore, the tragedies she endured, and the resilience she displayed have been preserved, retold, and interpreted in ways that transform her from a historical individual into a symbolic figure. This transformation illustrates the ways in which personal experience becomes collective memory and symbolic representation, revealing both the potentials and limitations of historical narrative. Her legacy is thus not fixed but dynamic, shaped by ongoing reflection, interpretation, and engagement with her story, highlighting the enduring power of human lives to influence thought, culture, and understanding long after the immediate events of their existence have passed. Finally, the enduring symbolism of her life challenges contemporary observers to reflect on ethical, psychological, and historical questions. She prompts consideration of how societies value appearance over substance, how power dynamics influence perception and behavior, how trauma and resilience shape identity, and how individual stories illuminate broader truths about human nature. Her legacy is one of complexity and nuance, resisting simple categorization and inviting reflection on the multifaceted dimensions of beauty, oppression, survival, and moral responsibility. Through her life, she becomes a symbol of the tension between external admiration and internal reality, between desire and exploitation, between historical context and universal human themes, ensuring that her story remains a profound source of insight, reflection, and enduring significance for all who encounter it.